7 in the Always Sunny in Sayreville League, and just like that, the season's already more than half over. Injuries this week. LaShawn McCoy left his game nice and early with injury after gaining 1 yard, and he is questionable for Week 8, although he is trending in the right direction, trending towards playing against the Patriots on Monday night. Royce Freeman also suffered an injury in Week 7 and will be out for Week 8, already announced. Albert Wilson was placed on IR. He's done for the season. Matt Breida, who seems like he battles an injury every single week, is again questionable with some body part, some lower body injury. You may be wondering about the Will Fuller injury, but technically that hasn't happened yet. So, not gonna cover it. Melvin Gordon missed his game with injury, popped up late in the week on the injury report. That's never a good sign. Late adds on the injury report, always an indicator of possible inactive, and that's exactly what happened to Melvin Gordon. Missed the early game. Well, it turns out that if you snooze, you actually do lose. The Schwartz found out the hard way this week that the London games start at 9:30 a.m. Hello, Governor. This is your wake-up call. Your top running back is inactive today. I backed off because it was a really bad accent. It wouldn't have made much difference in the outcome of the game because the Schwartz was rolled by the Gotham Rogues this week 175.62 to 105.76. But it's this type of asleep at the wheel management style that really makes the shot miss the mark. Tom Perry. But for all his foibles, thank the Lord for the Schwartz. The Schwartz is a gift from the fantasy gods to distract the league from the shit show at the dojo. Sweep the Leg lost again this week by a score of 114.96 to 107.22, dropping their record to a pathetic 2-5. I've been quiet about it until this point. Let's face it, there have been bigger stories, but it's undeniable at this juncture, and it's time to talk this through. Sweep the Leg is the 4th lowest scoring team in the league. Sweep the Leg has the 2nd most points against. Roughly 4.4 points per game against, fewer than the league leader, the Schwartz, who's just straight up getting his ass kicked. And 7.7 points per game more than the next team on the list, which basically means that teams are scoring considerably more against the Schwartz and Sweep the Leg than any other team on a per game basis. So that's pretty lucky. In fact, of Sweep the Leg's 5 losses this year, 3 of them were to a team who at that time scored their highest point total of the year. The Golden Showers scored their highest point total against Sweep the Leg. TFC at that time scored his highest point total. He has since eclipsed that total, but at that time it was his highest score of the year. And Beer Muscles scored his highest game of the year against Sweep the Leg also. So that's awesome. Sweep the Leg has now lost 2 games in a row to the worst teams in the league, scoring less than 108 points in both contests. They will be without 2 key players in each of the next 2 weeks. So let's dig a little bit deeper. Since the record-setting 6-0 start that Sweep the Leg started off with in 2017, they have gone 3-11 in their last 14 games. This will be the 3rd straight year that Sweep the Leg will miss the playoffs, as this once proud franchise bears little resemblance to the team whose name is on the plaque. And for that, Sweep the Leg is this week's good. And now, lest ye think we forgot, I'd like to extend a very special thank you to Albert from the Toddler Fight Club for hosting last week's episode. Another excellent job. Thank you so much. I really enjoy putting it together. It's nice to know that when the commissioner is out of the office, the show is in good hands. Just as a side note, the people have spoken, and Danny Mack, you're being called to the front of the congregation. But speaking of Toddler Fight Club, it does bear mentioning that they survived a pretty big scare versus the Rusty Strombone this week by a score of 132.06 to 130.2. This was likely a bittersweet victory for Albert, as he had to watch his beloved Giants smash Eli into a brick wall over and over instead of handing the ball to the freak you spent the number 2 overall pick on. Barkley did not get the golden touch, and Toddler Fight Club escaped with a win by just 1.14 points. Not even in the top 5. So that was almost a heroic victory, but we have a 6-game winning streak on our hands, guys. Now, this would have been good enough to tie the record for best streak to open a season, except the Drunken Bums lost their first game of the season. More on that in a minute. But they haven't lost a game since, and now possess the best record in the league, 6-1. Just a side note, the longest win streak of any type is 11 games in a row. Rusty Strombone did that in 2014. They finished 12-1 and then lost in their first game coming off the bye. 11 games in a row. Good luck matching or beating that record. Good luck to the Drunken Bums. I mean, technically they could beat that record because they lost in the first game, so they have 12 straight games to do it. And I mean, if anybody is going to make that happen, I think Patrick Mahomes is the guy that can make that happen. The Drunken Bums claimed sole possession of first place with a 139.62 to 113.54 win over Rutherford BD. Patrick Mahomes led the way with 35.82 points, and Adam Thielen backed it up with 26 points. That's the QB1 and the wide receiver 1. So if the Drunken Bums ever figure out how to work a tight end, we all might be in some trouble. They won their key matchup in convincing fashion, and for that, the Drunken Bums are this week's hero. And now, before we get to this week's scintillating key matchups, it's week 7, and of course that means it's time for Odd Sundays, so let's kick it down to Atlantic City and get a point of view that's just a tad askew.
For any of you high school seniors out there, may I suggest Princeton University so you can join proud alumnus Jason Garrett, head coach of the Cowboys. There at Princeton, he probably majored in what I can only imagine is BDSM.
I don't know about you, but I'm really into the CFL this year.
Get your wine coolers ready for brunch on Sunday, Sunnyvillians, where London's own Bortles and James will lead the Jaguars against the Eagles. Bortles is 3-0 with 8 touchdowns and 1 interception in his last 3 trips across the pond. There, he'll be facing the Eagles, who, after seeing how Doug Peterson and the Philadelphia Environs handled their Super Bowl victory, God decided that they should get jobbed. Fire sale continues in Oakland, proving that it's only after we've lost everything that we're free to do anything before they move to Las Vegas, where anything can happen.
Finally, if any teams out there are in need of some wide receiver report, I understand Ray Caruth has just been made available. Bye.
Thanks, Colin. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Alright, guys, key matchups. We have 2 huge matchups this week. The first one between the 6-1 Drunken Bums and the 5-2 Toddler Fight Club. Now, this is a Porter Division battle. TFC is fighting for a share of the Porter Division lead right now. These are the 2 top teams in the league, one by record, one by points scored. TFC is averaging over 24 points per game more than the Drunken Bums. So the Bums have the advantage with the record, but TFC is just scoring way more points per week. In fact, Toddler Fight Club is the team that gave the Drunken Bums their only loss of the season in Week 1 by a score of 154.84 to 85.64. It was the Drunken Bums' one lone dud of the year. Came against Tyler Fight Club in the season opener. And furthermore, Tyler Fight Club has never lost to the Drunken Bums. They're 3-0 all time. And the closest game they've ever played was a 57-point blowout. So the Drunken Bums, the history says that they're not even going to keep this one close. So it will be very interesting to see how this whole thing shakes out. The other game to take a look at is the 5-2 Rutherford B. Hazy and 5-2 the Golden Showers. Now, this is a number 2's division battle. The winner will have sole possession of the division lead. Rutherford B. Hazy has racked up 2 losses in the last couple of weeks, and the Golden Showers seems to be finding his stride. There's only 10.62 points that separate these two teams in the standings. They're very evenly matched, very close right now. So this is and they're 2-2 all time head to head. So talk about close. This is a battle between the running backs and the wide receivers. So it should be interesting to see who leads the number 2's division when the dust settles after Week 8. So that's it, guys. Week 7 update over. Remember to set your lineups. Remember that there's always someone out there who thinks you deserve it. And I will see you next week, where it's always sunny.